What's up? What's up, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning in. We're going to get started in just a second. Okay, I had to look at my other device to make sure that we were live on the Facebook. Be sure to share this with your other friends. You can just go down to the right hand corner and where it says share. Be sure to just share this stream so that people know that What's Good is live on Facebook this evening. Tonight, we are going to be talking all things Indy Jazz Fest, and I am so excited about our guest tonight. We're going to be talking with Jared Thompson of Premium Blend Indy. Jared is also a member of Clint Breeze in the Groove. We also have Richard Sleepy Floyd, who is going to be joining us. If you all remember, he was also on the Juneteenth episode where we talked about his Juneteenth tribute that was happening at the Jazz Kitchen. Tonight, I'm going to be talking to them both. And Sleepy, I forgot to mention, is a part of the amazing band Native Son. So we are going to be talking about Indy Jazz Fest. Indianapolis, if you don't know, has a very, very rich jazz culture and heritage. And it's one of those things that is right there. It's very well documented if you are looking in the right places. I want to give a huge shout out to a couple of people I know that do that well. Kyle Long of Cultural Manifesto, the radio show that comes on WFYI. We also have Indiana Avenue Newspaper, which is a social platform on Facebook that covers a lot of this, and also the historic Indianapolis Recorder newspaper. But if you look at those platforms, and there are others as well, you get to learn a lot about the fact that jazz music has incredible, incredible history here in our town. So it's fitting that we have one of the great festivals here that brings in musicians from all over the world. Some names like Thundercat. Thundercat is coming to Jazz Fest this year. There are so many other names that are on that lineup. You can find out more at indyjazzfest.net and also get your tickets. But we have some of our homegrown people that are going to be there as well, just bringing all the amazing tunes and sounds. I love live music, and during our quarantine lockdown period of COVID, that was one of the things that was so challenging for me, was the fact that these things weren't happening in person anymore. There were people doing things online, but there's nothing like being there in person, hearing the music, interacting with the community. So excited that Indy Jazz Fest is back. For those of you that are tuning in that maybe aren't familiar with the show, What's Good with Ebony Chappelle is a show about people doing good things and things that make us feel good. And it's all about highlighting what's happening in the community and bringing some positivity to the timeline. There's a lot of craziness going on, but there's also some good stuff going on as well. So tonight, I mentioned earlier, we are talking with Richard Sleepy Floyd of Native Son and Jared Thompson of Premium Blend Indy. I'm going to bring them on in just a second. But for those of you that are watching, be sure to drop us a comment. Let us know what made you tune in. If you have questions for Sleepy or Jared, put them in the comments and I will pop them up on the screen. But without further ado, let's bring these guys in so we can get this convo started. Hey, what's up, y'all? How are you doing today?
What's up, Ebony?
Hey, Ebony, what's happening?
Just having a fantastic Wednesday. I'm not in my normal setup because life is a little bit busy right now. So I'm in between places, but it's all good. So happy to be talking with you all tonight.
Thanks for having us. This will be fun.
Yeah, glad to be here with my bro. We spent some time together.
Just a little bit. What was it now? 13 years now?
Yeah.
Wow, 13 years. So now I feel like we need to take a little trip down memory lane. Whoever wants to start first and tell us the origin story of this bromance.
Man.
Wow.
I'm gonna put. Okay, I'll start at the beginning, and then you.
All right.
Do the tail end. I came back here to Indianapolis in 2004 after I graduated college, and then maybe like 6 months after that, you're trying to find where the places to play, who are the people to play with, and Sleepy just happened to be like everywhere at the same time, all the time, you know. So I'm like, man, let me see what this cat's about, and needed a drummer, so we would just link up and play shows, and he always just cracked me up. Our styles are very different, you know, and that's what made it so much fun. I mean, I remember the actual gig where he met his current wife. You know, we go back that far.
Wow.
It's awesome, you know, and just through all this time of gigging and playing and collaborating and supporting, I've been able to watch him get married. His wife is like a sister to me. I'm Uncle Jared to their 2 kids, and it's just life. It's really nice. Life has a way of just keeping good people with you and expanding on that.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, he's definitely family. But yeah, I mean, you know, I was one of the original members of Premium Blend. Little known fact, but you know, but yeah, like I mean, like literally, we started our musical journeys together locally at the same time. You know, along with Brandon Meeks and Stephen Jones, and you know, and just you know, grinding it out. You know, from gigs at the Robert Steakhouse on a Saturday night, paying $40. You know,
Urban Elements on Pennsylvania for
yep. Urban Element,
$40.
yep, $40 exactly. You know, so it's just a beautiful thing to be able to just watch our growth and just our maturity and do it together. You know, is has been a blessing to me and to my family, and you know, Jared. I'll say this: him and his partner Tim, Uncle Tim, like they hooked it up and got the girls the perfect COVID quarantine gift, a big trampoline in the backyard. So
Oh, that's
it was
amazing.
more of a gift to the parents than the kids, you know, because you know we could take them in the backyard, they could just have fun and just jump all of that energy out that they have, and you know, just it's just been a beautiful relationship, and you know I can just look forward to growing old and we continue to we're continually making memories as we go, but you know I'm just looking forward to making many more memories.
Awesome, awesome. You know, I know tonight our focus is to talk about Indy Jazz Fest and talk about the amazing music that you all are putting out. But I want to take a quick pause for the cause and have you all speak to the importance of having that sense of community within the music scene. How does that influence the art or help boost the art when you have that sense of community there?
You got to sleep.
Well, for me, it's everything. You know, it's the only thing that I know. You know, being from talking about the early parts of our career where me and Jared and Brandon like started out just playing restaurants and just having the music bring us together. The music is what united us, and we took that same approach to all our other individual endeavors with Native Son, with him with Premium Blend, like bringing in new people over the years and just creating some continuity within the community. Um, and that's the premise I work on to this day. I mean, I consult for most artists have here in the city that are working have hit me up on some occasion and asked for my opinion, my advice, or to do something, and I willingly offer that, and I'm sure Jared does as well because it's all about the community, especially being here in Nap, where we where people are not necessarily coming in to see us here locally, where we have to go outward and take the music to the masses other places. I try to keep that community bond strong so we can do that, so we can support each other, and it shows in the shows that we have. You'll see the artists in the audience, you know you'll see them backstage, you'll see them reposting and sharing, and so it's just a beautiful thing, and it's just a beautiful experience just to see the growth and then in the amount of artists that are now doing things. I mean, Jared will tell you. I mean, there wasn't very many. You can almost count them on one hand, especially in the hip hop scene. There wasn't a lot of bands and artists that were actually performing on a regular basis. So yeah, it's just beautiful to see.
Yeah, just to add a little more. I mean, the community thing for me personally, just as a young student of the music as a kid, while I was learning the music, I liked to read like biographies, and it was always biographies of musicians or artists, and they were family like, and that was just so important. So yes, they made this incredible music on stage and toured and played some incredible shows and on incredible stages, but behind all that there was chemistry and camaraderie and creation off the stage. There was someone like, hey, I need you to watch my kid, or I'm going through it, I need a place to stay. I mean, that's real life stuff that everyone goes through. But that was what drew me into it, because I'm like, man, this music is not just about the music, or this music doesn't come about unless there is this kind of family connection. And so it's mainly just being good stewards of the talent and the tradition and the way that it was taught to us. I mean, when we were actually, Sleepy, I said 13 years. Honestly, we've known each other for 19.
Yeah, I was gonna say that math is a little off, bro, but I was going with it.
I was a terrible math student. But like what we did when we were younger is that it was older musicians telling us the do's, the don'ts, and the in-betweens. And that's the most important part to me. That music is going to be there regardless. You're going to put your own stamp on it. You're going to do your own thing. No one wants a carbon copy artist. That's boring. That's what the radio does. You know what I mean? This kind of music is not the same thing. It is about teaching people like the highs, lows, and everything in between, and how that applies to work best for what you as an individual want to put forth. And that's our responsibility to do that. That's where that tightness and connectivity happens in the community. It's not all wine and roses either. There's going to be disagreements. There's going to be some butting of heads, but all that is natural in growing as an individual, in growing as a community, and growing as this language that we're putting out. And that's just something that's always just really important. I mean, I don't know any successful artist that does not give a huge amount of credit to the people that taught them how to maneuver within the scene while they're doing their own thing.
Teach you how to work.
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing. And and that's part of the jazz tradition as well. I mean,
absolutely.
And just that what Jared just said is like exactly how it happened for me. Playing in Indiana with the Indiana Avenue All Stars back when I was like by far the youngest guy on stage. But those cats, my OGs, they took me under the wing and gave me those do's and don'ts. And sometimes it was heavy handed, other times it was a hug, but it was all love. That's the point, and I kind of take that same approach. So sometimes I ruffle feathers with some of the things that I say, but it's all coming from a place of love because I just want to push this scene forward as much as I can. And sometimes that doesn't, it's not always wine and roses, like you said, Jared.
Yeah. But you know what? As an outsider kind of looking in, I think that it's incredibly promising to hear that those things are happening and continue to happen, because it really means that there is a future, that there is legacy that's being built upon. Because I think that that's one of the ways that we fail in our communities. And this is just speaking more generally, is when movements, and I definitely consider music as a movement and also part of the larger movement, is when movements lose that kind of intergenerational collaboration, when that community part isn't in there and people are kind of working in silos. Because one equals very quick burnout, and then two equals people thinking that they invented everything, as opposed to like, no, these things existed before you got here. There is a way to go about these things that is good for the whole, in addition to being good for you as an individual, but more so, this is good for the whole of the community. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it's that legacy component. I mean, I don't think anyone sets out thinking that that's what they're doing. But you end up being a piece in that puzzle or a cobblestone for that. And that's what's important. And I think you're right. The community at large, depending on which one you want to talk about, we just have a really bad habit of people getting into a position and just staying there and thinking they should stay there because they've been there for so long. It's like, that's cool. Like, you've earned the spot. That's great. But what else are you doing to push it? Who did you bring up behind you to replace you so that you could gracefully bow out? And emphasis on gracefully bow out, because both things need to happen. There's going to come a point in time where I'm going to need to step aside because there's someone behind me that needs that spot. And if I've done my due diligence within the community, then it's not going to be a competition thing. It's going to be like, all right, young man, all right, young lady, go do your thing. I'm proud of you. Go make your mark. Go do your thing. And we just have to do more about understanding that if we are trying to reach the same people, we're not doing our job. Our job is not to, for me as a 39-year-old, I'm not trying to enlist 39 and up. I'm trying to get 22-year-olds interested in this music, because that's sustainability 20 years from now, So that's just how I think about it.
You're talking good, bro.
For sure. I want to shift us a little bit to talk about something that nobody can escape from right now, no matter how hard we try, how much we wish this bullshit would just go away. It looks like it's here to stay, and that is COVID in all its many different forms. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were like, the Delta Sigma Theta variant. No disrespect to any of my people that are Greek that might watch this. And then they went further and they said, the Kappa variant shimmying down people's throats. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. But also, we will find humor.
The ski-wee variant.
All of that. Listen, it's getting out of control.
That's wild.
So I wanted to just have you guys speak to how it feels to come back to the scene post-quarantine. We're not post-COVID at all. We're still very much in the midst of it. But things, this spring, summer started opening back up. I've seen both of y'all live a couple of times this year. Very grateful for that. But what does it feel like to come back to the scene after being closed up in the house for a little bit, closed up in the crib?
Go ahead, Jared. You can go first.
Okay. Thank you, sir. It's, last year it was rough. It was just weird. And we all figured out ways to improvise and augment what we do. It's pretty cool, at least in my experience and a lot of my working musician friends, our calendars started like bussing in April, and I mean, from April to like, we already got Christmas parties on our books, and so it's great. We've just really missed the energy that you get from the audience. I think we learned how to not solely rely on the audience, for stuff that we need, but it's always great to play in front of people and see how people respond, what people respond to. Me personally, I have been going into these performances with a very measured caution, of course, because you have to do that. We don't want this to turn right back around to where we were last year. But it's been fun. We're busy. We're making noise out in the city. The city sounds like the city, and that's really nice. And just want to make sure that we're able to continue to do it. I know a couple of cats just in our circle that vaccinated and had COVID, so they're fine. But that takes, you got 10 to 14 days where you got to sit at the crib. You're missing money. That's rough. You're missed playing, but that's a financial burden setback that you're experiencing. So measured level of caution when I'm playing, but it was nice to have some time off to shed more, to focus on intention. My style itself changed a lot within a year, and that was on purpose. And I think it's headed in the direction that I want it to go for what I am wanting to do in the future. So,
yeah, what Jared said, everything is real. The gig's going crazy. I'm thankful. A lot of times I've been getting calls for multiple events on the same day where I have to say no to a lot of those things. That's the amount, that, everything is open back up. But at the same time, like Jared said, I've been proceeding with caution and just being safe, wearing the mask. it's been different. Like, I mean, I'm so thankful for everything opening back up. Um, especially after a year of doing nothing. In terms of gigs, we found ways, like you said, we found ways to keep working. And it was cool. We both did our commission projects through the Jazz Foundation, which were a lot of fun and great experiences. I was involved in both, and man, but it's there, like you said, there's just nothing playing for a live audience, and so I'm thankful to be able to do that now. But at the same time, it's like, man, it's crazy out here. It's really like the Wild Wild West. Like, I was just I just played a major music festival. When I say major, I mean like that, meaning there was thousands of people there uh, over the weekend, and like literally, I saw maybe 5 people with masks that were wearing masks. You know what I mean? And me and Ashley were two of them. you know, we were like two. So like, our guys, our band was pretty masked up most of the time. I will say that. But like the general population, like I'm talking about thousands of people, no mask. You know, and it was just like, wow, it's wild out here. So I just stayed backstage, laid in the cut, stayed in my car, you know, and but it was just kind of it was an eye opener for me because I'm like, okay, I'm thinking about all the other festivals that are going on, and like people aren't even just smart enough to just put a mask on. It's like, come on, man, it's not so much for you, it's for your family, it's for the people that are standing next to you enjoying these shows. It's for the artists on stage. You know, and it's like we're going to move back to a shutdown. Like if this kind of behavior continues, it's just like
Absolutely.
it's frustrating on one hand, but however, I am thankful for the opportunities to be able to play. But it's like I almost feel like it's got an expiration date on it. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying. Um,
Yeah.
and so, hopefully we can. I don't think COVID's going anywhere. Like unfortunately, but we just have to be smart and do what we need to do. Get the vaccine. If that's your thing. I'm not going to force. I'm not into telling people the choices they make, but you got to
Hmm.
understand the consequences of that. And what made it become real for me was when I saw like perfectly healthy friends that are musicians leave here. With no, with a great bill of health. You know what I mean? Like some are vegan. You know what I mean? And like they left here. And so that's when it got really real for me. You know, um, and it's just the responsible thing to do is just to take care of yourself and get the vaccine, wear a mask. That ain't hard. It's easy. Um, you know, if we want to continue to enjoy these types of things that we're enjoying right now. So that's my take on it.
It's a good take, man. It really is. It's
Thanks,
a
man.
good take.
Thank you. Thank
No, it's definitely a good take. And I've been thinking a lot about, the different issues that have come up in the midst of this. Like we're dealing with this global pandemic. It's a respiratory virus which affects everybody because we all breathe. Most of us have to be around people at some point. Like there's very few things that you can do that don't involve you having to be around other people. So it's so many layers to it. And then when you think about just the ways that it is exposed like all of our systems as far as like how society runs in general, and giving us an opportunity to really look at it like, does this work? Do we really need to do it like this? It's been a super interesting time for a lot of different reasons. But I'm so glad that the music is back, in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I wanted to talk to you guys. You mentioned Sleepy last year about the commissioned projects that you all did for the Jazz Foundation, and I was looking back at some of that stuff in preparation for our conversation today, and I there was a definite theme um, between 38th and postmodernism, and correct me on the title for Native Sons, but legalize being black.
you. Yes, that's correct.
That is okay. Legalize being black. Um, Last year, on top of, you know, pandemic, dealing with coronavirus, we dealt with this social unrest that was across the entire country, and we had lots of stuff popping off here in Indianapolis. I wanted to just give you all an opportunity to reflect on why you decided to go in that direction musically, and what people can expect for 2021 with you all at the Jazz Fest.
I think at least with 38th and postmodernism, I mean, the interesting thing about that is that it wasn't new material. All of the tunes that we played, that Premium Blend played for that, was, we grabbed from our 3 albums before. So there was some from Soap, some from The Road, and then some from the Vices, which we had put out earlier, in, I want to say 2019. But a lot of the tunes that we write have some kind of backstory behind it. It's instrumental music, so you don't really get to hear the story. So the hope is that the way that it's written, the way that it's played, is able to evoke a certain emotion or evoke a certain kind of thing. So that's what we were going for. And just what was happening last year with the civil unrest, which, let's be honest, I mean, some of these things are still happening. That did not go away either. It's just important for me as a Black individual, I have to say something. That's my job. Like, there's people that are saying it marching in the streets. There's people that are saying it in legislation, in different political offices, in cities, and in the nation. Okay, well, and then there's people that are doing it and putting it in their music. That's just what it is. Music and any kind of art has always done its best. Good music and good art has always done its best to reflect and represent the times and just give an accurate portrayal of what's happening. That's what 38th and postmodernism was about. And since it's instrumental music, we wanted to use that as a backdrop and actually go out and talk to the community. Last year, wasn't a whole lot of people talking to anybody face to face. So to go out and do interviews with, I think we did 17 interviews. Sleepy, you were one of them. Ebony, you were one of them as well. But it's like, yeah, we got to go talk to these people and, hey, what's going on in your mind as you're looking and watching all of this, Because what's more accurate of Indianapolis than what Indianapolis is saying about it? And we specifically chose predominantly Black individuals. We wanted to get a range of gender and gender identities, sexual and sexual identities, because that is what makes up society, and so we're going to do some of that for Jazz Fest this year as well. We're not going to do the entire playlist or the entire album that we presented last year, but we're going to do a few of those tunes. So instead of just a regular quartet that we have, it's expanded again to an octet. We're bringing in Kendall Carter from Louisville. He's an incredible piano player, so he's going to be playing with us. And so we're going to do a little bit of a mashup. We're going to do a few quartet tunes, and then we're going to do a few octet tunes, and just really get the chance to perform this live. We never got a chance to do that last year. So it's going to be nice to see how it hits with people a year later, but live. I mean, the music's great. Amanda Gardier is playing flute on this set. She arranged all of the music, so she put in a lot of time and energy into it. And we're just looking forward to reiterating this statement, because there's still some people that haven't heard it. So we're going to give them a chance to catch up and give it that full festival kind of feel with some really heavy hitters, both locally and internationally. And I'm just so excited to be able to have that opportunity to perform, but to perform at this level and on this kind of soundscape. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. And again, I know we've talked about this one-on-one, but I just want to highlight again publicly how grateful I was for the opportunity to share. That was one of my very first in-person things when you called me up. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm just going to put on my mask and I'm going to pray and I'm just going to go and meet them at the park and see what happens. Because I was like, this shit is a game changer. It's going to be
For real.
amazing. Yeah,
That
yeah.
was like one of
So,
the first times
yeah,
I got out the house when we
yeah.
interviewed, and I was definitely looking quarantined on the video. I was like, boy, woo, hadn't been to the barbershop nowhere.
Hey, like we wanted to keep it real. You know what I mean?
It was real,
Yes.
all right. It was real. Yeah. What about you, Sleep? What you got? What you got for us? And what kind of things did you want people to take away from the offerings with Legalize being Black?
Well, yeah, we will be doing like much like Jared. We'll be doing pieces of Legalize Being Black, but we'll also be presenting some new music that we've never played before as well. Um, and that's dope. You got Kendall Keys Carter, man. That's my
I know,
guy.
right? I'm
That's cool.
pumped.
That's gonna be crazy.
I just sent him the charts a couple days ago. We ready?
Nice, nice. Yeah, brother can play. He can play for real. But yeah, we'll be doing that. Just we'll do the most of the majority of the performance. But like I said, we'll also be bringing out some old tunes that we haven't played in a while, but also presenting new music that's never been played as well. Um, so yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it. We'll actually I just learned we will have a string ensemble with us, much like we had members of the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra that did the performance last year. Um, Man, it was just a joy to do. Like I mean, literally, I've done many big projects, but this one was seamless. I mean, we had 3 rehearsals, and it was just like everything was just like boom, boom, boom. Purely working with professionals. It was no headaches. It was beautiful. But the hardest part was just really getting some of the tunes ready for strings, preparing for strings. And so we had Rob Dixon, the musical mayor, help us out with that. And man, it was beautiful. It was like clockwork, and it was a very meaningful performance to all of us. Like I mean, and just seeing it after it was produced really just gave me chills. I really had chills after rehearsal. Like when I first heard the strings playing like a beat that I made in the basement of my old crib where Jared came over and worked on some stuff in the Gauntlet on 66 and Broadway, you know, um, it was just it took me back to that place. It took me back to 2009, 2008 when we were grinding and just trying to figure out and find our way and just Native Son just trying to create a voice because Jared was one of the original members of Native Son. You
Mm-hmm.
know, him and his brother Josh. They were in our horn section. You know what I mean? And so we're just big. We're family. Like I said, like you know, he's heard my crappy beats back in the day, and he's heard them make. He's seen them grow into something bigger. And just the same for his tunes. I heard his beginning tunes, and
Yep,
I've
you can
been in
call
his stuff.
you can call them crappy. That's fine. There's a couple of them then.
Yeah, hey, but it's all part of the growth, man. And then just seeing that, having that feeling for him as well. Like when I saw the documentary, it was just like, man, it took me back to 2004. Like, when we were sitting next to memories, just meeting each other. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It just,
Yep.
it's just a beautiful thing to be able to get to this point. Not only performing at Indy Jazz Fest, I've actually booked. A lot of people don't know this, but I booked about 80% of the artists that are the national artists that are on the bill. I haven't publicized that much because again, I'm all about community. It's never about me. You know what I mean? I did it for the city. You know what I mean? And so like having Thundercat, come, having Moonchild come, having Corey Henry come, having Marion Meadows come, and then being able to put my brother and my band Native Son on the bill. You know, it's just a beautiful thing, and it just kind of not gives me a nod to all of the hard work that we put in over the years. Just to get to this point, to have a seat at the table, to have a seat where we can make the decisions, where we don't have to necessarily ask permission. And that's what I'm all about at this point in my career, locally speaking. It's all about being disruptive for me, and that doesn't necessarily have a negative connotation, but it can. I'm like a renegade. You know what I mean? And so like I'm trying to disrupt all the norms. You know, and like especially as being a black man. You know what I'm saying? Where we have to constantly fight for a seat at the table, to make key decisions, to to get fund, to beg. Basically, so a lot of times we have to beg for funding to do the things that we need to do, and so that's why I was so happy that Native Son and Premium Blend, particularly, were able to produce such strong and groundbreaking projects. Um, and so it helped to cut that up. You know what I mean? Like our phones started ringing, and our demand was bigger than ever after we produced that. And that's what we've been saying, and that's what I've been campaigning for years. Like, just give us the money to do what we need to do. Give us the money to do some dope shit. And you guess what you're gonna get?
Some dope shit.
You know what I mean? And so, and even with Jazz Fest this year, I was just like, man, just let me book this. Let me book this, and I will bring something here to the city that nobody's expecting, and we haven't seen. And so
that's the exciting part too. We were talking earlier about, I'm like, for me at 39, almost 40, I'm not trying to capture 40-year-olds. I'm trying to capture 22-year-olds, right?
Facts.
You put a name like Thundercat. Can Thundercat get up there and run any kind of Coltrane changes? Probably, and probably really well, right? That's not what he does. He knows how to do it, though. But 22-year-olds know that name Thundercat. They're going to come just for him, and that's fine, because you know what? They're going to show up to make sure that they can see Thundercat. They're going to end up watching, listening to something that they didn't know that they liked, and then they're going to keep coming back to check those people out. And if you started them at 22, 10, 15 years later from now, they're going to keep being there just because it's kind of like a bait and switch. They got brought in on something that they didn't think they really were going to holistically enjoy. I came for one person and ended up loving 5 different groups. That's the whole point of doing this, just drawing people in and making them realize that, no, you do like jazz music. You just didn't know the elements. Yeah, like you just don't know how many different ways it's compartmentalized, how many different ways it's presented, and all of them are fine. You're going to have some that are your favorites and some that are not. Doesn't matter. You're there to experience all of that.
And that was my main mission. It was just to show some diversity in the genre of jazz. It doesn't always have to be take the A train. You know what I mean? Like that's just one component of jazz. Somebody like Thundercat is a jazz musician. He's a jazz musician first. Just a history lesson. His first group he was in was called Young Jazz Giants. So I say, but all of them ended up. Kamasi Washington was actually in that band as well, and so yeah. And so all these guys started out playing like straight ahead music as as their thing, but they became more and more independent in their approach to the music, and it shows. And like literally every single act, Mono Neon, Thundercat, Victor Wooten, Moonchild, Corey Henry, all of these dudes these people are doing. They're making jazz music, and they're showing you how how it's layered.
Akiko Segura is another one.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Akiko, she does the same thing. Akiko's killing.
Okay, Akiko, just so you all know, is she's from Japan, and she's an organist, and in the traditional sense of like our great Melvin Rhine, the late great Melvin Rhine, who played with Wes Montgomery. She is killing. She is absolutely killing, and she's a part of the festival. With the great Jeff Hamilton, who's a renowned jazz drummer, known predominantly for his brush work with jazz brushes, and so I studied him growing up, and so it's really cool, like and then Victor Wooten, say less, he's a legend, he's a bass god, you know what I mean, and having him and his brothers come here and do their thing is gonna be great, and then we have something for the old heads, so to speak. We got the smooth jazz legend, Marion Meadows. So I tried to, appease both, but more importantly, I wanted to bring artists that would help further the culture as I see Indianapolis, as I see the Indian music scene. Because we're very diverse, we're very layered in what we do, but at the helm of what we do is the jazz tradition that is so rich in the city. So we all have that spirit of Indiana Avenue in us, and it's just manifested in different ways.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you brought that up, Sleep, because that was the direction that I want to push us in. as we wrap up our conversation this evening. But, I just hearing about the diversity of artists that are going to be there at Jazz Fest, it just made me think, I mean, duh, this is what jazz is. Like, it's improvisational, it is innate, like it's creative, and it takes on so many different forms. Like, there is no one way to kind of box this in. Like, there are essential elements that might be across the board, but there's so many different avenues for people to come in and engage with the music. So I just love that that's the way that things are laid out. And I wanted to have both of you speak to the significance of this happening in our town. Because, like you just mentioned, Sleep, the history of Indiana Avenue, the spirit of that lives within all of the musicians. Uh, yeah, what does that mean for y'all to be able to do that type of thing, but do it here?
I mean, this is what I've wanted to do since I was a little kid, you know, and been going to Jazz Fest when I was a kid. I remember in high school, this is back in 98, 99, the high schools would perform during the day, and we just get to walk around all day and watch all these incredible players. I mean, this is what I've been wanting to do since I was 10, 11 years old, and I'm doing it. You know what I mean? So there's just that realization of, you are part of what this is. You do have a page on it. I don't know if that page is all the way full. I don't care. I'm on a page, So, and then just to be able to, I mean, with last year, the festival had to be virtual. This is the first time, I want to say in 6 or 7 years, we actually get to have that authentic festival experience, right? Like, it's at Garfield Park. It's a beautiful stage, seating, and then, I mean, it's just huge. And so it's a festival atmosphere this year again. And that's just paramount. You know what I mean? That's just what we want. That helps feed us as well, just seeing all these people descend on this one place for one reason. And it's one reason to be like, I love live music, I love jazz music, and all these people do here. We're all on the same page. It's great. I mean, how can you not have fun in that situation? Like, we're going to be prepared so that we're so prepared that all we're focusing on is just having a good time. You know what I mean? That's the point of it. And that's just how I look at things. I mean, I've lived here in Indy, born and raised here. I've seen a lot of jazz festivals. I've seen a lot of festivals. This one's just always different, and that's what I like about it. And it's just the set and the setting this year just couldn't be any better. It's just going to be great. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, growing up in Kokomo, Indiana, seeing the commercials on TV. I remember when BB King played here, and having booked that was really the only, like, when I finished booking, when I got the last confirmation for the national artist that I was booking, I really then that's when I took a step back and acknowledged the moment. Just like, man, I remember just seeing, watching TV and seeing the Indy Jazz Fest commercials on TV long before I could even, play jazz, and it's just like, man, like, to book, to be able to book this historic festival is just, a dream come true for me. And, to play it is just, also just icing on the cake. But yeah, I'm just really looking forward to the hang. That's what I'm telling everybody, like, hey, just clear your schedule for the weekend. Just clear your calendar. The 17th, 18th, and 19th, just don't have anything. Just make plans to be with us that weekend. And you'll see Naptown come alive, like you've never seen it before. And, like, I'll be honest, I ain't going to, like, promote the shows that are earlier in the week that week, but you want to go to those too. So, like, literally that whole week is like, the 12th through the 19th is just a great week for Nap, period. So, like, just be down in the Fountain Square area, Garfield Park area all week. It's gonna be great, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. I'm happy to be a part of producing the show, and I just can't wait. Can't wait. Got a lot of work to do in the meantime, but, like, I'm very, very, I'm looking forward to it, and that's when I'm gonna be able to relax. You might see me carrying a cup around or something, you know.
Oh, you'll
You
definitely see
should.
me. I'll have a couple. Because
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
don't, I'll go grab you one. You know how this works.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I am definitely looking forward to that week. So I'll be floating around, kicking it at the different things going on. I can't express enough how immensely proud I am of the work that you two are doing and all of our local legends that are y'all just locally based. But as far as I'm concerned, y'all are world class.
Thank you, Ed.
Thanks.
Thank
Legends that are going
thank
to
you so
be,
much.
yes, of course, putting on for us that week. But yeah, how can people keep in touch with y'all, follow the pages so that they know when these show dates are happening and they can get locked in on the movement?
So if you just go to, like, I'll be, excuse me, advertising on Premium Blend's Facebook page, Premium Blend Indie. Instagram is also Premium Blend Indie. Our Twitter is @Blend Indie. And so we're going to be popping these things out. Honestly, at the beginning of September is when we're doing a big push for highlighting all of this stuff. It's on our website, premiumblendindie.com. And yeah, you gotta be around us. That's what you gotta do.
That's right. For me, yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm most interactive there, and Twitter on at Sleepy Nap. Um, all the information regarding the Jazz Fest events are available at indyjazzfest.net or on their Instagram, Indy Jazz Fest. Um, and then follow my band, nativesunlive.com, and on Instagram at nativesunlive. And we keep everything moving, and we keep it, we keep people in the loop. So, feel free to DM me for any information, and I'll forward it to Jared's inbox. No, I'm joking. And we're just looking forward to having a good time. And so, I hope to see everyone out and come say what's up.
Absolutely. So thank y'all again for a fabulous conversation. And look forward to seeing y'all at Jazz Fest
You
in
will.
September.
Yeah, Ebony,
I'll have a drink for you too, Ebony.
definitely, Ed.
I'm ready. I'm
Hey,
ready.
we need
I
to go on.
take, you
We need an
said
on
what now,
location. We need
sleep?
an on location interview. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Let's do that out
Absolutely.
there.
Yes, I will have all of that on deck. And Jared, I take Tito's and water with 2 limes.
I got you.
Yeah,
I
I'm
got
trying
you.
trying to watch this figure, you
Hey,
know.
Very specific, but I got you.
winning combo. That's a winning combo right there.
For sure, for
Yes.
sure. Yes, so thank y'all again. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in this evening to What's Good with Ebony Chappelle. Have a great night and a positive week, y'all. Peace.
Peace, y'all.